Okay, so let's dive into so how was the economic situation? I mean, people know, oh yeah, they had bad inflation, but can you give a little bit on what the situation was that might help explain why was Argentina ready for the Southsider?
Yeah, always it's incredible. They're very protectionist to the max power, like the crazy. They're so think about the most mercantilist crazy ideas that you can imagine. It's not just that they impose taxes on imports and that makes things less. There's less competition because you don't have outside pressures. There's less goods and services available, so the prices are necessarily going to have to go up. Sometimes they even to compensate for the inflation. This is how crazy the situation gets. Think about and some of your audience will probably gonna appreciate this one. Hey, price of meat is going up too much. We export meat. We need more meat in Argentina, so that the price lowers a little bit after they created a ridiculous amount of money. Okay, let's tax exports. They don't just tax imports to protect local businesses. They also sometimes tax exports so that they get less. Some of the meat first. That's the one that is a big deal. You see, understand the culture real quick. Think about the typical Argentinian food. I've been telling people, and people kind of get the idea is Argentinian food is a mixture between Texas barbecue and Italian food. That's a typical diet over there. So, for example, when meat start becoming too expensive because of monetary inflation, they start taxing exports of beef so that a little more beef stays inside of the country, and the price it's a little bit lower than otherwise. Well, yeah, but what does that mean? They export less, they get more negative trade deficit, and in this problem, what is the issue? They actually do need dollars. This is the big issue. They actually need those dollars, so they've been on a negative trade deficit for long. They have to borrow dollars from outside to pay off for the difference. But if they pay off for the difference, then sometimes they have to create pesos to pay off for that difference. It is a complete nightmare because they want to control. The Peronistas, imagine the anti-libertarians, the ones coming before. The best way to explain it to you guys would be, think about the Democratic National, what is the DNC? Democratic National Committee?
Committee, yep.
Yeah, committee. Imagine having them in power since the 50s. And they try to control everything in life. Oh, you know what? Like the example I told you, we need to protect local production. Let's impose some tariffs. Oh, prices are going up. Well, let's tax exports so that more goods and services stay. You see, imagine that this is Mises. You have one intervention that causes more problems than needs another intervention. This is what Argentina is suffering right now. It was one intervention that looks okay. It caused a lot of problems. You get another intervention. It caused more problems. You get another intervention. It got to the point of, for example, it's more difficult when you get out of the country. You were not allowed, or you needed to have a process of like 2 weeks if you were going to buy art from one of the local artists. In order to take the art out, you need a permission, and it takes about 2 weeks to get that permit. Just think about the nightmare society that you have to go through. That almost everything you need to do that is big needs a permit. It's a completely controlled society, well, by the state. And it's inconsistent because sometimes they control it really well for some people. And this is what you guys need to understand about Latin America. Most of the laws or regulations are not done to improve X, B, or Y in the nation. They're done to impose them on your enemies. This is what the reality, and not apply them to your friends. So every time there's a legislation passing in any part of Latin America, Argentina even more, you know that they're not going to apply it to their people. They're going to try to apply it to people that disagree with them. And this happens a lot. So that's a general view of the difficulties. Is they started with some interventions to try to help poor people. Prices go up, and instead of trying to fix the monetary problem, they start to fix it doing a bunch of other interventions that it became just an absolute nightmare, and the whole society. And at the end of the day, as you guys can imagine, the ones that suffer the most are workers. Oh, on top of that, which is something that it needs to be discussed among libertarians. In Argentina, the worker unions are so powerful that they almost control all of society. For example, so you guys have an idea of what we're discussing. They have something like some welfare payments, let's say food stamps, just to give an example, but they have more things like that. The ones in charge of delivering that It's not the government itself. The government gives it to intermediaries, political intermediaries, and those political intermediaries control the welfare that people get. And they ask them, hey, you have to vote this way or you don't get anything. You have to show up to this protest in the morning or you don't get anything. The extreme example is that there was a person that was getting from the government cancer treatment. And he was told, if you don't show up to certain protest, yes, I'm kidding you not. This is how bad it is. If you don't show up, you're not going to get healthcare, the healthcare that was promised. And it's controlled by the political intermediaries. Those political intermediaries, those are the ones that are the big problem because through them, you control almost all of society. And workers' unions end up being the political intermediaries that work together with the government to try to enforce the policies and the votes that they want. So this is the task that Milei is facing right now. Is gigantic, guys. You're talking about battling against the biggest bureaucracy in the world. In per capita terms, it is the biggest bureaucracy. It's as close as possible you get to Soviet Union without being the Soviet Union, right? Because it wasn't that extreme. But at least halfway there, it is almost completely statized.
Hey, everybody, this is Bob Murphy. Thanks for listening to this clip from the In5 podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, please consider subscribing and share this video with others. We've got new episodes dropping every Friday with more insightful discussions. Stay tuned.